The 1999 United States Connecticut State Quarter was part of the groundbreaking 50 State Quarters program launched by the United States Mint under the authority of the United States Congress and signed into law by President Bill Clinton in 1997. This ambitious program aimed to release 5 new quarter designs each year in the order that states ratified the Constitution or joined the Union. Connecticut was the 5th state to ratify the Constitution on January 9, 1788, so its quarter became the 5th coin released in 1999, marking a historic moment when American circulating coinage began telling individual state stories for the first time in history. The Connecticut Quarter was officially released on October 12, 1999, and it quickly became one of the most talked-about coins in the entire series because of its simple yet powerful design. At the center of the reverse is the famous charter oak tree, a symbol deeply rooted in Connecticut history and identity. The coin carries the inscriptions Connecticut 1788, the charter oak, and 1999, along with the traditional United States of America, and E pluribus unum, linking state pride with national unity. The charter oak was no ordinary tree, but a massive white oak that once stood in Hartford and became legendary in colonial America. According to tradition, in 1687, when Sir Edmund Andros, the royal governor, attempted to seize Connecticut's colonial charter, local leaders hid the document inside the hollow trunk of this oak tree to protect their self-governing rights. This dramatic act transformed the tree into a living symbol of freedom, independence, and resistance against tyranny long before the American Revolution began. The story of the charter oak reflects Connecticut's long tradition of self-governance, which traces back to the fundamental orders of 1639, often considered one of the first written constitutions in the Western tradition. By the time the United States Constitution was created, Connecticut already had a strong political identity built on representative government and civic responsibility. The selection of the charter oak for the quarter design honored this early commitment to liberty and constitutional principles. The design for the coin was created by T. Leslie Fraser and engraved by John Mercanti, both artists working with the United States Mint. Fraser's detailed depiction of the oak captures the powerful trunk and sprawling branches, giving the tree a sense of strength, stability, and endurance. The design committee wanted a symbol that every Connecticut resident could instantly recognize, and the charter oak had been part of the state seal and official imagery for generations, making it the perfect choice. The obverse of the Connecticut Quarter continued the familiar portrait of George Washington originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932 for the bicentennial of Washington's birth. This ensured continuity across the entire State Quarters series while allowing each state to express its own identity on the reverse. The balance between national symbolism and state pride became one of the reasons the program achieved such extraordinary popularity across America. Production of the 1999 Connecticut Quarter took place at 3 mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Millions of coins were struck for circulation, with additional proof versions created for collectors. The total mintage reached into the hundreds of millions, making it one of the widely available issues of the first year of the program, yet high-grade examples and silver-proof editions remain desirable among numismatists today. The release of the Connecticut Quarter sparked excitement across the state as schools, banks, and community organizations celebrated the coin's debut. Many teachers use the quarter as an educational tool to teach students about colonial history, constitutional government, and the meaning of civic responsibility. For many young Americans, this series became their first introduction to coin collecting, turning spare change into miniature history lessons. Collectors often point out that the Connecticut Quarter marked a shift in American coinage philosophy, because it demonstrated that circulating coins could carry detailed storytelling imagery rather than simple national emblems alone. The strong public response to the early 1999 releases, including Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut, proved that Americans were eager to see their state heritage honored in everyday currency. Beyond its artistic design, the Connecticut Quarter symbolizes resilience and the protection of democratic values. The legend of hiding the charter in the oak tree reminds viewers that freedom is sometimes preserved through courage and quick thinking. In this way, the coin serves not only as currency, but as a reminder of the responsibilities that accompany liberty and self-rule. Over time, the original charter oak itself was lost when it fell during a storm in 1856, but its wood was preserved and crafted into keepsakes and ceremonial items, ensuring the legend would live on. Even though the physical tree no longer stands, its image remains permanently engraved in metal, reaching millions of hands across the nation through this quarter. The success of the Connecticut Quarter and the broader State Quarters program led to additional series including the District of Columbia and Territories Quarters and later the America, the Beautiful Quarters. What began as an experimental idea became one of the most successful coin programs in United States history, generating billions of dollars in revenue and renewed public interest in numismatics. Today, the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter continues to circulate widely, but it also holds sentimental value for those who remember the excitement of the program's first year. For collectors in United States of America and around the world who enjoy American coins, this issue represents the early chapter of a series that reshaped modern coin collecting and introduced historical storytelling to everyday change. In the end, the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter stands as more than just 25 cents of purchasing power. It is a tribute to colonial courage, constitutional heritage, and the enduring symbol of the charter oak, whose branches once sheltered a document that defended self-government. Through this coin, Connecticut's story remains alive, carried in pockets, jars, albums, and collections, as a lasting reminder that even a simple quarter can hold centuries of history. The momentum behind the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter was fueled by the extraordinary public response to the very first releases of the 50 State Quarters program earlier that same year. When Americans saw how quickly the Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Georgia quarters disappeared from circulation into collections, it became clear that this program was more than a temporary promotion. By the time Connecticut's design entered circulation in October 1999, coin rolls were being saved, unopened, and families were searching through change jars, hoping to complete the first-year set, creating a nationwide collecting phenomenon almost overnight. Connecticut officials played an important role in choosing the charter oak design through a collaborative process that included historians, artists, and public input. Several themes were considered, including the state's maritime heritage and industrial achievements, but the charter oak stood above the rest because it represented the earliest chapter of Connecticut's identity. The decision showed how deeply the legend of the hidden charter had become woven into the state's cultural memory, symbolizing courage against royal authority long before the American Revolution reshaped the colonies. The release ceremony in Connecticut reflected pride in the state's colonial roots and its long tradition of innovation. Connecticut is often called the Constitution State, a nickname tied to the fundamental orders of 1639, which many scholars describe as a pioneering framework for representative government. By placing the charter oak on the quarter, the design connected colonial resistance to the broader American constitutional tradition, reminding citizens that the ideals of self-governance were already thriving in New England decades before independence was declared. From a numismatic standpoint, the 1999 Connecticut Quarter belongs to the first year of the State Quarter series, which makes it especially significant for collectors. First-year issues often carry historical importance because they mark the beginning of a new era in coinage. Collectors pay particular attention to high-grade uncirculated examples and silver-proof strikes from the San Francisco Mint, as these versions preserve the intricate bark texture and branch detail of the oak tree with remarkable clarity. The coin also represents a shift in how Americans interacted with money. Instead of viewing quarters purely as tools for commerce, many people began examining their change closely, studying inscriptions, mint marks, and design elements. The Connecticut Quarter encouraged conversations about colonial governors' charters and early American political struggles, transforming everyday transactions into opportunities for historical reflection. In addition, the program demonstrated the power of coinage to unite national identity with state pride. While the obverse continued to feature George Washington, the reverse celebrated Connecticut's individual story, showing how federal unity and local heritage coexist within the American system. This balance mirrored the very principle that the Charter Oak legend represents the protection of local self-rule within a broader political structure. As the years passed, the Connecticut Quarter remained widely available, but its symbolic message endured. Even after the original tree had fallen in the 19th century, its memory continued through monuments, artwork, and, eventually, through millions of coins struck by the United States Mint. Each time the quarter changed hands, it carried forward a reminder of vigilance, courage, and constitutional responsibility. Ultimately, the extended history of the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter lies not only in its colonial inspiration, but also in its modern impact. It helped launch one of the most successful coin programs in American history, sparked a revival of coin collecting, and introduced a new generation to early American political heritage. Through its image of the Charter Oak, the coin preserves a dramatic story of secrecy and determination, ensuring that Connecticut's legacy of defending self-government remains permanently engraved in American memory.